taking inspiration from the aforementioned Cat Williams, who did a tremendous service for all of us with what he said on not only Shannon Sharp's show, but what he said in a lot of other shows. We are not having any sacred cows on this show. There are people I like, obviously, and there are people that I believe that deserve to be elevated, people that I deserve or that I think deserve to have their message spread to people. And we're going to talk about a couple of those later in the show as well. But largely, I try my best to be objective about people that I like. And this first one, which blew up a lot in recent social media circles and a bunch of things, is someone I genuinely respect a lot and someone I love a lot in terms of their commentary on the world and kind of their place in the media sphere and everything else. And that person, the first person that is going to be called out a little bit here, is Megyn Kelly. So I want to be very clear. I love Megyn. I love Megyn's show. I listen to it very often. It's probably my primary source of news. When I want to go for a place with mostly, I would say, straight and narrow news, even though Megyn is way more MAGA now than she once was, I go to Megyn Kelly's show. I think she has a great platform. I think she has a great perspective on everything. She has opinions, but she's not necessarily an opinion person. Like, she's not like Tucker. She's not like any of the other people that are there. She's more of a platform where other people come on and show all these things, although she is doing a little bit of both. She did an interview for the New York Times a couple weeks ago, which she talked about that went viral, where they kind of said that because the New York Times still doesn't understand how podcasts work, so they're like, well, how can you be a journalist and claim to be a journalist while also having this platform? And it's like, okay, like we can do both. Like, Megyn's a smart enough woman, she can do both and all these type of whatever. But she stepped in it recently when she was having a conversation with Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks. And the red pilling of Anna Kasparian has been wild to watch over the last couple of weeks. Anna Kasparian was a radical leftist, and I think still is a radical leftist to some degree. But I think Anna Kasparian, one of the coolest things about that is she's kind of really been open to coming on a show like Megyn Kelly, who does not agree with her on a lot of things politically. But the one thing they talked about in this interview that I thought was very interesting was about the have it all narrative in relationship to women and career. And before I get to Megyn Kelly, I want to say something that got brought on my friend Hafiz Bayoku's live show a couple of weeks ago. So I was on a panel. Hafiz has been nice enough to have me come on the panels that he has hosted recently, a lot of times, actually. So shout out to Hafiz if you're listening to this. And I got into not a spat, but kind of a conversation, a conflicting conversation with my friend Gabriella Cipriano, who is wonderful and is also creating content. Gabriella Cipriano, her YouTube channel, I subscribe to it. I would highly recommend you guys do as well. She's great. She's very smart. And we were kind of having this conversation about, and the conversation that Megyn Kelly was having, and then Gabriella brought into this, we'll bring it back to Megyn Kelly in a second. The conversation that Megyn Kelly kicked off initially on Twitter, which led to her conversation with Anna Kasparian, was, even though Megyn Kelly is on the right in terms of she spoke at a Trump rally, she campaigned for Trump, she did all these type of things, and she agrees with a lot of the MAGA agenda, she has been kind of troubled recently because I think Megyn Kelly is a feminist in some ways. And she has, I think, said both things, like she is a feminist, but she's not a feminist, so I don't even know if her mind is made up on this. It's not a criticism. It's just kind of, she said both things, I think. But she went on to Twitter once, and she said, I had it all. You can have it all. Women can have it all today. And I know because I had it all in my career. I have 3 great kids. I have a great marriage, and I have had a great career, and I was a lawyer, and I was a Fox News host, and now I'm one of the biggest podcasters in the world, and I now have this MK Media company where I'm putting Mark Halperin on, Link Lauren, and Maureen Callahan, all of whom I love. And you can't have it all, women, and everything else in terms of that. And so Gabriella brought this up on the show because we were talking about something similar about the have it all narrative with women. And so she brought that tweet. Gabriella brought up this Megyn Kelly tweet about this. And I said some things about it, and we kind of went back and forth, and Hafiz was like, grab your popcorn and everything like that. So that was fun. And we ended up coming to a middle ground because, I'm not anti, women empowerment at all, to be honest. I love women, and Gabriella loves men, and, all these type of things. And so it was not an ill-minded conversation at all. I thought it was a very, very nice conversation. And so we had that, and then, but Megyn Kelly doubled down with Anna Kasparian. And the way that she did it was very interesting. So she said on her show, I believe she said it a couple times now, but she said it most, I think, virally with Anna Kasparian. Kim Iverson, who I love, shared it. A bunch of other people shared it. It went kind of viral on X. I think there's over 4 million plays right now. And so what Megyn Kelly said is she upped the ante a little bit further. And she said there was a quote-unquote problem. A problem. That's the word we're going to be focusing on. or it was troubling, I think is what she said, on the conservative side of men for not wanting to marry a woman who has career aspirations. And then she went on to basically chastise them and lecture them about how she needs to get with the program and not have, or how men need to get with the program and not have any objection to this. And how women, again, should quote unquote try to have it all and try to go forward and do all these type of things. And so this went crazy viral, like I said, on Insta, I believe on all social media, but on X, I remember I saw it, and Kim was responding to it and everything like that. And I don't know if I agreed with Kim a lot on this. I think I did, but I kind of was like, I still agree with my point more. But what's funny about this is that Megyn Kelly has been one of the kind of the wildest people, or not the wildest people, but the most, I would say, fervent people of this kind of ruling class lecturism. She kind of, I think, that's why I think her and Tucker get along so well, is that they are not of the ruler or the working class, but they are not of the elite either, and they want to defend the people that are the bulk of Americans, the average American versus the elites in our culture a lot. And so, when, for example, Barack Obama, when he had that infamous stop campaigning for Kamala Harris on the trail, and there was that viral video that was awful for the Harris campaign where he was talking to a group of, I believe, predominantly younger black men. And he was saying, basically, again, get with the program, shut up, vote for Kamala Harris. I don't think you're doing a disservice to the black community. And Megyn Kelly rightly said, that is wrong. That is wrong that you do that, because obviously black men are a group of people. They are a demographic group, but also you cannot root out the individualism that is inside of that group. Maybe some people wanted to vote for Kamala Harris and would have done so anyway. But he's like, we got a problem with young black men not supporting Kamala Harris, so shut up and do it. And that's because, Barack Obama is a crazy elitist, like a lot of people in his position, but especially him. He's always had that complex. But so what Gabriella did when she saw this tweet and she brought it up, this to her, I think, and to a lot of women, not just to single out Gabriella, was a aha moment. And she said that this had proved her point. Megyn Kelly had kids late. She established her career. She still had it all. And that's Megyn's point as well. Well, women, average American woman out there, go work at the law firm, go work at the investment bank, go work in the lending department at Citigroup or whatever kind of satanic job that is for anybody, by the way, not just women. But go do that, establish your career, and damn it, if men don't like it, then that is a them problem, sister, and you got this, girl, and you go, and all these sorts of things. And that's wrong. That's just factually untrue in my estimation, because the problem with this, and the one thing that Megyn Kelly, and unfortunately the women listening to her and seeing that tweet or seeing that clip with Anna Kasparian or whatever, if you are a top performing, high earning man in a corporate job, I have a free gift for you, the Value Economist Handbook. In this book, you will find a bulletproof, crystal clear, and step-by-step roadmap to build your values, systematize them into an unbeatable portfolio, and leverage them to create an unshakable identity that leads to fulfillment, meaning, and purpose. So, if you want a free copy, go down to the description below, fill out your information, and we'll send one over to you right away. Now, let's get back to today's video. The one thing that Megyn Kelly does not want to admit about this is that Megyn Kelly, whether she likes it or not, is an elite. Megyn Kelly is one of the elites. And now, does she act like one all the time? Of course not. She doesn't. She actually does, I think, a very good job of making her show accessible for everybody. Does she talk to elite people? Yes, she had Bill Ackman, and who I despise, so she had Bill Ackman on, did all these type of things, and she's able to talk to average day Americans, all those type of things. She came from a working class family, but this is, I think, what differentiates her from Tucker, because her and Tucker, like I said, have that ethos behind. But Tucker Carlson fully acknowledges that he is of the elite, that Tucker was a prep boy. He was descendant from generational wealth. He went to private schools. He lived in DC for 30 years. He's like, look, man, I'm not, I defend the working class, but I'm not of the working class. Megyn Kelly does not have that attitude. Megyn Kelly is an elite. She's an elite. She is gorgeous. She is rich. She is connected. And so, and what she said, and she talked about this with Andrew Schultz, who came on the show a couple weeks ago, who I also love. And so Schultz, his special, for those who haven't seen it, I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard it's amazing, and I've heard clips from it. A large part of Andrew Schultz's show is about him and his wife attempting to do IVF and attempting to have kids later in life, because Schultz is 40, his wife is younger, and then it was kind of Schultz's problem about male fertility. It's Chris Williamson of Modern Wisdom said a couple of days ago, it's the most important pop cultural moment for male fertility issues that he's ever seen. So I would highly recommend watching it. I'm going to watch it. I've loved Schultz for a long time, but they were having a similar conversation about this, and Megyn Kelly and Schultz and his wife openly admitted that they did IVF, and Megyn Kelly was like, yeah, like, just go for IVF and you can do it later in your everything else. Compete with women later in life, et cetera. And so Megyn Kelly can say that, and Andrew Schultz can say that, because Megyn Kelly and Andrew Schultz, again, gorgeous, rich, connected, established, safe, independent, free, all of those type of things. Most women are not. Most women are not who are listening to that tweet. Most women do not have nearly the amount to pay for IVF. I have a friend right now on the male side that is going through a pretty hellacious and unfortunate fertility issue right now. And him and his wife are genuinely concerned about them ever able to afford the process of having kids, much less kids down the line. That's a whole different conversation. But this is the disconnect. This is the disconnect of everything. This is the implanted narrative of the have-it-all feminist mindset of everything. And what it comes down to, and again, she's targeting men. She's saying young men have a problem with the career woman. They have a problem with this type of men. Damn it, if you do not like her working 80 hours at the law firm, then you are the problem. She can go ahead, go girl, yas queen, all this kind of stuff. And what this says to me is that Megyn Kelly fundamentally does not understand men. She doesn't understand men, particularly young men right now. And this is kind of a hypocritical moment for Megyn Kelly. Again, who I love. I listen to Megyn Kelly all the time. I'm going to listen to an episode of her show later on today. She just had Steve Bannon on at the time of this recording. I'm going to listen to that. I love Steve Bannon. And so because young men do not get to quote unquote get with the program. And by the way, this is the hypocrisy. She loved when young men supported Trump in the election. She loved Joe Rogan. She loved Chris Williamson. She loved Lex Friedman. She loved Theo Vaughn. But she only views them as useful when it doesn't disrupt, again, her narrative, the implanted narrative. Eric Weinstein calls this the gated institutional narrative. And, again, she said that the rally at MSG was too, quote unquote, bro-tastic is the word that she used. That's such a leftist term, by the way, anyway. So she took a page out of the lefty playbook right there. But again, she only views young men as transactional. She fundamentally doesn't understand why maybe that's a little bit, a no-go there zone for young men. For young men who, by the way, have a choice, just like those black men that I talked about with Barack Obama. They have a choice of who they want to vote for. Young men have a choice of the woman they want to marry. A lot of them would prefer if their wife wasn't as career-driven. They might want a woman who wants to be a stay-at-home mom. They might want someone to be the primary breadwinner and feel valuable and useful inside of their household. They might want that. And that is a masculine thing to want. That is a manly thing to want. That is a positive thing. We need more of that inside of our culture. But Megyn Kelly and the feminist class inside of our culture is discouraging that by saying, you know what, you don't have to do that because the woman's going to come in and say this, do this again. I'm all for woman power and I'm all for this, but we need to realize, we need to have an honest conversation about what is actually going on here, what is actually happening. And what's actually happening is finally, young men have had enough, and they're saying, I'm not going to put up with this shit anymore. Pardon my language, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to, kowtow and force myself to admit that I love a woman who is in her career. That I'm for that. That I want that, and it's good, and all these sorts of things. And some men, I know, one of my friends is a very, very successful person and very wide-ranging spheres of life, and he's one of the best people I've ever met in my entire life. He wants a career woman. That's what he wants. And I don't shame him for that. I say, dude, you should want a woman like barefoot in the kitchen, whatever. Like that. But again, it is the narrative that is the problem. It is the narrative that, this neo-feminist tripe that we've all been forced to swallow, particularly young men have been forced to choke on and swallow the entire time of just, you got to accept the boss babe. It's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. And young men have had enough, and they are pushing back on it, which is a very, very good thing.